And we're off just like every Monday and Friday. Happy Friday, guys. I I'm really excited because we found out that Gov is safe and he's good to go. There was some question marks whether he was going to be able to join us tonight, so I'm glad Gov was able to join us. How you doing, Donnie?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Everything's going good. Everything's going good. How about you, Logan? How are you doing today?
Well,
How are you feeling?
I'm doing better than Tua, man. Um, I do got some feelings on that. So if you guys don't got a comment, but I want to just quickly hit on it because I think it's discontinuous if we like start talking fantasy right away, or we start talking about a sport we love and we don't hit on like probably one of the biggest stories as a transitional standpoint, and especially when you guys know me, I'm an emotional creature. Being a disabled person, I sports for me was kind of that connection because like I can't play sports. I couldn't participate in sports the same way because of my disability. So honestly, the fact that somebody might be hampered, neurologically or physically, and still have the pressure to perform, it's sad. You know, People want to place blame, and really, it's one of those situations to me where everyone has to eat off the plate, and when you eat off that platter, everyone has to take a slice of blame. Least of all Tua, but he still has to take some blame because he decided to play. Now, obviously, as a young person, he's got the pressure to perform. In some cases, you could argue that, you know, Teddy maybe is not as talented as him, but is like more prepared in the current moment to operate a veteran team. So that he knows that like Teddy's capable of being a quality backup, so there's pressure for him to perform. It's not like Zappy's sitting behind him or Brian Hoyer. So like you understand it, but then like to say you didn't have a concussion the first week, I don't know. But shame on the NFL, man. I don't know how you can clear a man that quickly. Again, given my medical history, I'm not a doctor, but I've been in and out of hospitals. I've had body casts. I've been in bad situations. I've wanted to be a normal boy for a long time, so I understand the warrior spirit of wanting to be a football player, a tough guy, but like at some point the NFL and then Mike and the coaches and the Dolphins organization. I mean, come on, we already know with Ross and his history with former coaches and stuff. We don't want to delve into that. I get it, but like this was just mishandled. It was just mishandled, and the bike went off the path, and hopefully the path for Tua isn't as long as it looked because it did not look good.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to force
it,
you guys to comment either. So if you don't, that's fine. It's
no,
just
Yeah, I don't like. I haven't really. I don't have a good, clear thought on the subject, and I don't really want to say anything about it until I do.
I will say I did see the NFLPA is starting their investigation on it.
but
So
shame
that's
on them.
yeah, no, they're going for the legal route here, and it's just an unfortunate situation throughout the whole thing. There's plenty of doctors that could have told you this is not the smart way to go, and they went that route.
Well, not just that. It's just the accountability of human nature. Even as fans, we need to acknowledge, these things. And like for the people being like, oh, well, you shouldn't profit off of this, or you shouldn't like. Let's be honest. This is an injury just like this isn't. This is not an injury just like any other. But as a gambler, as a DFS player, I don't control those things, but I can react the same way as Jalen Waddle getting hurt. Like we can't just because we do this in sports sometimes. It's like we catch the reactionary measure. The referees will catch the secondary act in basketball. This happened to Sidney Crosby where he kept getting concussions, and it wasn't until it happened to a big star that the NHL took notice of it. So it happens in all sports, and like we just have to react. But also, like we can admit that Tua being out of that game influenced fantasy football for that night. And it's okay to react because it's not like I can fix Tua. I'm not a doctor. But what I can do is, benefit in other ways. And some people have the right to do that as well. There's no right or wrong. It's just what it is. What's right and what's wrong is when you don't acknowledge it. And that's what I felt like the NFL didn't do. They didn't acknowledge the danger that Tua was putting himself under. And that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, and they launched this whole investigation before, right after the game on Sunday. Why is this not figured out by their Thursday night game?
Well, that's the thing is we know football is a modern gladiator sport. Like I'm not saying people can get injured. Jalen Waddle came in injured. I'm as worried about Jalen Waddle as I am Tua. Like we don't want to see stars get hurt, but it's part of the game. And just like in fantasy football, we're going to react about it and we're going to talk about it. So I just want to hit on it really quickly as we talk about all these other injuries as well. A guy returning from injury, one of the best plays on the slate. I want to get this out there because I haven't heard anyone really talk about it. I'm playing a lot of Zach Wilson this week. What about you, Go?
I do like the Jets this week, but I am not playing any Zach Wilson. I'll say that.
I think he's the best sneaky value on the slate.
I don't know if he actually has a ceiling. I like the Jets for the fact that they're going to be up pace against the Steelers because both of these teams are kind of teams that like don't do much. I think both teams have averaged like 25 minutes a game in like time of possession. So both of these teams haven't had a game where they really have the ball a lot. One team is going to get the ball 30 plus minutes in this game. And I think it's going to be the Jets. And so I think they'll be able to like grind and run. Like I like the Jets running game with Zach Wilson back more than anything else.
Price considered, of course. Like the reason I'm high on him is price, but it's also that we haven't seen it. And me and Gov would tell you that in fantasy football, it's about reacting to news. And it's about predicting what you think is going to happen that hasn't happened yet. And if we wait for Wilson to be good, he's going to be like 6,000, So we have to attack. Now, if we believe it, I do believe it. I think he's playing a really bad, overrated Steelers team that's living off of legacy. Like if it was a different matchup, I'm not saying that Wilson's like a world beater. It's just everything's aligning, coming off of injuries. People usually go a lower own. I think his wide receiver core is one of the more sloped down wide receiver cores with Elijah Mitchell, with Corey Davis, with Tyler Conklin, with those running backs you talked about. I think, a guy like Breece Hall is a lot better pass catcher than he gets credit for. I know we talk about Carter a lot. Like they got weapons on that team. They really do. And then they got Garrett Wilson, which is everyone's rookie darling at the moment. Donnie, what's a underrated matchup or underrated storyline you see coming into the week?
I would say the Colts-Titans game is really piquing my interest because it's two desperate teams in a division that's not looking great. The Colts they've fought in some games. They haven't looked great all the time, but they've been fighting. And the Titans obviously are going to come out and battle for their coach. So I don't see much of that being talked about much. That this game could be huge when we look later in the year and see a division fight.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's a weird division game that like I try to stay away from because it's got kind of a low total, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, Indy Titan. Yeah, it's about it was started at 44. It's bet down to 42, 43. So, like, it's not the best total game. So I'm not heavy on it. But you're right. Like, this is a divisional game where one of these two teams probably needs to win it and take control of this. Well, to be fair, I kind of think it's Jacksonville's year. So, like, these two teams are kind of trying to, like, make sure they don't get too far behind Jacksonville. Because Jacksonville could totally win, like, 3 games in a row and just take control of this division. But so could Indy. And I don't know if so much Tennessee. I think I'm more on the Indy side of this game.
I was trying to set the table and Gov's already trying to plug in the toaster. So let's get to the toasting of our spread picks so we can spread that butter and that nice creamy over-unders that we do see this week. What is the number one game? We're going to pick 2 games like we do on Fridays. So what is your first game, your top priority, your can't miss bet of the week, Gov? What is it?
Well, since we talked about it in the beginning, I'll give it to you. I like the Jets plus 3.5.
Damn it, that was one of mine.
Yeah, I know. Like I would take the Jets money line because I really do think they win this game. But if they're gonna give me points, I'll take points to more guarantee my bet.
I'll double down then.
But that is my favorite game of the week.
You take the points. I still get to go Hungry Hippo. I'll take the money line. That way we can still participate, but I won't steal your thunder. But I'll double or nothing. I want the money line, Donnie. Make sure you write that down.
Yep. I'm fine with that. I don't care if we double up on stuff like that.
It's just got to be a different style bet so that way we can keep track. So Donnie's got a real chance now because if we're both wrong, Donnie could propel.
Yeah, if the Steelers come out and win this game, we are screwed on that one. But, like, I don't believe in the Steelers. I believe more in the Jets. I think they're going to run the ball more and not, like, let Zach Wilson cook, as they would say, just because he is basically, like, this is his second year. He's coming off an injury. I think you ease him back in. You're definitely not going to throw it 70% of the time like you were doing with Flacco. So
Wilson is better than Russell.
What was the spread at?
I had 3.5.
Thank you.
I want that on the record. I'll say it again. Wilson this season will finish better than Russell Wilson.
Zach Wilson will finish better than Russell Wilson. Yeah. I don't know about that.
Let's rock.
I'm not sure. Like, it's rough because Russ doesn't look that good where he's going to do anything to beat out Zach Wilson. But he does have a 3-game head start. Yeah. So, like, maybe. See, I don't know.
No, I don't like Russell. I think I don't like him. But Donnie, why don't you do a recap before we give you a pick? I'm coming in a little hot. We gotta.
All right. So for our week 2 games, Logan, you picked the Lions at plus 5.5 and the Jacksonville money line, which brings you up to 2-2 on the year.
Mm-hmm.
Gov went Colts spread plus 5.5, Panthers plus 2.5. Those were both also wins, putting him at 3-1. And I went Bengals minus 6.5 and Falcons plus 2, which brings me up to 4-0.
I'm bringing the energy tonight, boy. I'm trying to crank it up a little bit. I'm trying to see if you guys enjoy this high pace, high ferocity energy. So why don't we just hit the gas pedal, Donnie? Why don't you give people the overall record so far? Because this is starting to heat up, talking about heating up. We're starting to boil now.
Yeah. Logan is 2-2 on the year. Gov is 3-1. I am 4-0 on our picks.
It's gonna be close. Like I usually aren't like.
I think this week will be fun.
Yeah,
this could really spread us out a lot here.
Yeah, it could. Well, since me and Logan gave our first, do you have your first pick for the week?
I do have my first pick.
What
is going to be? I am going to take Houston plus 4.5 against the Chargers.
Oh,
Yeah.
you dirty, dirty man. Oh, now I got to go to number 3. Damn you.
That's the second week in a row I did that to you.
Yes, you dirty, dirty man. And yet you're 1 point ahead of me only because I didn't take the points with Atlanta in week 1. So
Okay.
that was my dumbass.
So while you recover, you got your stumble in there. So while you recover, you find another pick.
Oh, I got a 3. Don't worry. This has happened enough. I've got a 3rd one.
That's good. But just for fun's sake, because people are trying to get to know us a bit more, we're trying to be a bit more personality tonight to see how it goes. You like the Texans, Donnie, but before we elaborate on that game, I also need you to tell me what is your favorite cereal, speaking of General Mills? What's Donnie's favorite cereal?
Honestly, I switch my cereals up a lot, but my favorite cereal overall that I just love to go back to is always Mini Wheats. It's always Mini Wheats, and I don't know why. Just original Mini Wheats. I love it. It's great.
Okay, so would you rather pay $13 for a box of Mini Wheats or let Logan outscore Mills and let Wilson just dominate? Like, what are you hoping happens this week?
Repeat that last part of the question. I didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it either.
Yes.
Look, what I'm trying to get at is, I don't even know. Here's what I'm trying to say. What is the value of Mills against a sexy Wilson pick? Because everyone talks about Wilson or Fields or these guys, but I think Mills is surprisingly a very underrated quarterback.
I think I think he's very stable. He'll get the job done. I really just don't like the Chargers this week. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. It'd probably be a boring snooze fest unless you like defense. I don't see many turnovers.
Houston's like sneaky, so like I don't like the 7 to 5 point spread that it's been at. I love taking the points and having Houston be within like 3. I think that's a really solid bet. But yeah, I don't think this game's very high scoring. I don't think it blows out either.
Yeah.
Especially with the Chargers injuries, I still don't trust Herbert. I know they said, when he got hurt, it wasn't that serious, but
this has happened to quarterbacks before. I've seen it happen with Donovan McNabb. He's going to flak jacket and probably be sore for like 5 to 6 weeks before he starts to look normal again.
Right. And I think their offensive line's pretty banged up still, along with Bosa being out. J.C. Jackson's been in and out of the roster lately. I don't like the Chargers right now.
See, I'm almost pissed off because I tried to come up with a cool analogy and it totally fell on its face talking about Mills, because I feel like he needs that like boost of confidence in the media because he just doesn't get talked about. I don't think he's that bad. We talk about Daniel Jones.
He's really just not anything flashy, and he doesn't have the receiving core to do anything flashy.
Yeah. He's just Mac Jones, but he wasn't picked in the first round.
But even Mac Jones went to Alabama. Like, even he has like some sex appeal. Like, even he has some, some greatness to him in terms of like notoriety. Like that's
right.
That's why my analogy failed, because I'm like, okay, what can I just say about him that would sound cool? And I sounded like a complete idiot. And it's like,
there's not much cool to sound about. Like, you're right in the fact that he's not that bad, but he hasn't done anything spectacular. Like he, again, if you gave him an alpha receiver so that Brandon Cooks is your number 2, maybe he looks a crap ton better. We still need to see a full season of him with a solid run game from Pearson. So like, it all depends.
Isn't his ceiling like Kirk Cousins?
It might be, but he still is only year 2. Like, I gotta see what he progresses. Like, he came out as a rookie last year and was very solid all year starting for them in place of Deshaun Watson. And it's like, okay, now it's year 2 and now it's year 2 and he doesn't look any better, but he also doesn't look any worse, but they also haven't made the team any better. Like all the picks they
Or
got
the
for
coaching.
Deshaun. That's the thing. All the picks they got for Deshaun. You know that they're just trying to get through the year, and then they're gonna get a new coaching staff who's going to use all those picks they got for Deshaun and all that package, and they're going to rebuild from there. And Mills looks like a guy you can probably keep until you find your alpha quarterback. But so, like, who knows? But if he shows out this year and looks good with no weapons, then maybe you build around Mills and use those picks on offensive linemen and cornerbacks.
And Houston has done this before where they were fine being a playoff, the playoff team for years. And then they got Watson later when they really fell in love with the guy. It really makes sense to just do the process that worked. I mean, obviously the Watson thing fell on its face at the end, but you get what you get sometimes. And that was unfortunate.
That's not even their fault. Like,
right.
You think about it that way. Like, yeah, you should just go into the rebuild, do the 5-year plan. And then once you got the team built the way you like, look for your quarterback. And when he comes along, hopefully he's not a jackass that you can keep for 10 years.
Well, let's go a little bit more evergreen even with the discussion. And like, I think this week is a very fun week in DFS and betting and just like the idea of this week as a sports fan, because week one, we're all excited. It's like Christmas morning. We run down in our pajamas. Sometimes we forget to put on the robe. We might forget to shower. Like we're all souped up on candy. Like everyone has their traditions, right? Week two, we overreact. Week three, we're like, okay, we're getting in the rhythm. Week four, we're like, we're geniuses. We figured this out. This team sucks. This team's great. The Eagles are going to go undefeated. Like Dak Prescott's never going to play again. Like we start to make some crazy accusations, I feel like. And one of those accusations is like that the 49ers just are not in a lot of trouble. Like, for example, that team. I know people like Jimmy, right? And people think that defense is good and they like Shanahan. But they just lost their offensive line. And we don't talk about offensive line in terms of their position on fantasy, but I do think it matters. Because when we saw that on a Showdown Slate, or we see it this week, man, that team, I don't know if, like, they did not, I don't think, score after Williams went out. Like, so my second pick this week is the Rams. You can give me the, I see them at plus 100 still. Give me the Rams. Give me Stafford. Give me the Super Bowl champions. I think that's absurd. I don't see the 49ers being able to move the ball at all. In fact, if they don't get Williams back, I can see them getting a top 5 pick this year. I really could.
You want the money line or what's the point of that?
Yeah, he's taking the Rams money line.
I'm taking the Rams money line.
They are the underdog. That's surprising. They're the underdog on the money line?
It's an overreaction so much, because of how the 49ers always play the Rams so well. I mean,
they do at home. Like, they're not wrong about that. But
they lost
really? Hold on. Let me check the spread on that game, because I'm just now looking at that game.
I think I've seen as high as plus
so we're looking at a 43 total that's just been down from 47. Yeah. Where I'm at 42 total. Okay, so they bet it down as if it's going to be a San Francisco control game.
That's what I'm saying, Gov. Like, I understand week one being exciting.
But it's a pick-em. It's 1.5. What the hell? If you think it's going to be the 49er game, then you have to think it's going to be the 49er game, and they're going to win by a touchdown.
Well, Gov,
that's what they've done.
Dude, that's what we're saying. I think week 4 is the legacy week. That's what I'm calling this week. I'm calling this the overreaction legacy week. We still think the Steelers are good because they had a good defense years ago. We still think the 49ers are good because Kyle Shanahan coached with some other good coaches. Like, they lost a quarterback and an offensive line, the best offensive lineman in the league, and one of the more promising running around quarterbacks that just produces crazy upside. And they went to one of the more boring quarterbacks ever probably play football. And we're gonna and then we're gonna forget that Cooper Kupp is actually good, and like Matthew Stafford overcame and became they're Super Bowl champions. Like, what are we doing? I don't get it.
No, I'm with you on that. I had not noticed that. That's a total mispricing in my mind.
Yeah.
That's going to be a real showdown on Monday. Oof.
I don't see the logic in that at all.
That Vegas line is going to skew projections for showdowns on Monday, probably heavily in the San Francisco favor. And getting to Robinsons and Akers is going to make you different. Like right off the bat, like they haven't put out projections, I don't think, but that just knowing how projections work, that's thick. Wow.
Not
great pick, but Logan, great pick.
Not only that, but we're starting to see Jefferson could come back. Tyler Higbee's still a weapon. I honestly, I would take Seattle the rest of the year to win more games than the 49ers. I do not, unless Williams comes back. But maybe, I know I'm higher on offensive line, right? Like, I like it. The Lions have a great offensive line. I like teams. Cowboys historically have had good offensive. I like the Hog Mollies. There's no mistake in that. To lose the best offensive lineman in the last 5 years in the NFL. In fact, PFF called Williams the MVP of the league. If you were going to strip away all the like sexy steak material, they thought he played the best of anyone in the entire league. They basically did their top 100. Williams was the number one player. Even considering quarterbacks, like people don't realize that it's a huge loss.
It's true. It is going to be a huge loss. Like,
So they've lost a running back, a quarterback, and an offensive lineman. I don't, and honestly,
I think they honestly upgraded a quarterback because I wasn't believing in Trey Lance to begin with.
I agree on that, but you still are throwing your team off to throw a guy, in there that wasn't expected to be.
I'll give you that. It's going to be huge. Shanahan's one of the coaches I kind of believe like he's a really good when it comes to the offensive line. So I think they will be able to get through the year without too much like major disruption or trouble. I don't think they won't be as productive, but they'll be able to get by. Jimmy G is going to know the offense. So as long as San Fran has its weapons, they're going to be right there, just like they always are. It's really is, do Debo and Kittle and Ayuk stay healthy for them? They've already lost Mitchell, but they lose running backs every year. It seems like every year it's down to Jeff Wilson and someone else.
Yeah. Talk about generic but good. We talked about Mills. Wilson just like sticks around and sticks his nose in. And
he's just good enough at running back, and he's better than any third or fourth round pick that comes in, and he's just not spectacular. So you always try to have a guy ahead of him that beats him out. But as soon as that guy gets hurt, Wilson just knows how to do everything. Like they have a couple guys like that. They have Jeff Wilson on running back. They have the fullback Kyle Juszczyk, who like you watch the team one game and you realize Juszczyk will line up at literally every position at some point. He will line up at inline tight end. He will line up in the slot. He will line up in a 3 wide receiver bunch. He will line up at fullback in the backfield. He will line up at a shotgun running back right next to the quarterback. He will line up at the outside the numbers out X wide receiver. He will line up everywhere on the field. And that's one of the things about San Francisco. They have guys who can do that, and they have a very solid offensive line scheme. So even when they are lacking some talent, they are still efficient with it. So like San Francisco will be good. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't take Seattle over San Francisco the rest of the year, but I do think that Monday night game is off.
I will say this. I would not be shocked if we saw a lot of Juszczyk lined up at running back, especially if they're going to go in shotgun just for the extra pass blocker there.
Oh, I could see them using a lot of Juszczyk Kittle or Juszczyk Debo backfield.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up Kittle because Kittle's coming back off injury. He's not even like
Exactly. He's the real key because when you actually have him, he's a actual good, legit tight end, and he's a receiving threat.
Right.
So, like, very rare that the receiving tight ends are actually good inline blockers in a running scheme, but he knows the Shanahan system. Excuse me.
now, Donnie. I thought this would be kind of fun. We'll mix it up a bit different. We're trying different things. I'm coming with a different energy vibe. I've already made myself look silly, so we might as well try some more silliness. You haven't looked at the DFS slate. Me and Gov probably looked at it too much already. Why don't we try to not so much build a lineup because we can't build it completely. But why don't you give us some players that you like this week, and then me and Gov will have to apply that as DFS calculators almost, and make that lineup correlate. So why don't you just name some good real life situations that you feel like this week, and then me and Gov will see if we can correlate a lineup around it.
All right, this is kind of on the spot. I would, so give me just a second.
You're good. Just think about a player you like, any position, any quarterback, running back, just a player you like this week that you think is going to have a good.
That's why I'm giving you a clean slate, truly a clean slate. You can name it.
Try to stay away from the island games. So no Rams, San Fran, no KC, Tampa, no Minnesota guys. But basically, anyone else is available.
I will say maybe DJ Moore. I
love DJ Moore this week. Christian McCaffrey looks limited at best. I think he might miss. I will say this: I'm playing DJ Moore or Trevor Hubbard in every one of my lineups, I believe.
I'm not that far.
Christian McCaffrey sits.
If Christian McCaffrey sits, I might have to full fade that game completely because I don't know if I already don't trust Baker. He has done something where the top two options that are clear for the Panthers are now options 3 and 4 on the team. And it's if LaVisca and Tommy Tremble and other random dudes don't do all the work, then Baker just doesn't get McCaffrey and DJ Moore the ball like he should. They should be the primary targets, and he checks out of their plays to do crazy stuff. And I don't know.
Here's the reason I like it, because I honestly think everyone's talking about how Kenny Pickett might succeed Mitchell Trubisky this week. I think there's a more than a good chance that we see Sam Darnold this week over Kenny Pickett. That would be my bold prediction. If we're going to see a quarterback lose their job, it's going to be Baker losing his job to Sam. Just because if you go and look at the odds right now on the sportsbook, Matt Rule is the number one coach to get fired first. And just like we mentioned it too at the top of the show, you can hate all the negative bets that you can make, but the truth is you can make them. And there's always money to be made, and good and evil. And Matt Rule is definitely in the hot seat. If there's any coach Tomlin's not going anywhere. Tomlin could put Donnie out there tonight as his quarterback. Tell him, just like I did, catch him off guard, that he's playing and still wouldn't lose his job, come Monday morning. Matt Rule, I think I would not disagree with Vegas on Matt Rule being the first coach fired.
I'm with you. Matt Rule is probably on the hot seat. I don't know if switching quarterbacks helps that. I think he'd actually be better off if he left Baker in, and then you can kind of blame it on Baker. I don't know how, clearly when I had a shitty quarterback last year, we could get our guys the ball. Baker's even worse than that. I just don't that. That's on us in the front office for trading for him. And that, maybe he can take the L there and move on. Be we don't have our quarterback. We were trying. We took an L this year doing that. Well, but let's do what you said. If I'm going to play DJ Moore, it has to be the kind of environment where he's getting forced to be thrown to.
I like this.
I think hold on. Yeah.
let's ask our football guy. Are we, Donnie, are we building this lineup with the presumption that Christian McCaffrey is out or in?
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters, but I would rather play DJ Moore with Christian McCaffrey in than out.
So okay, you're playing it as he's playing. Okay, because that changes it for me. I like Moore a lot less if Christian McCaffrey plays. In fact, I'm off of DJ Moore if Christian McCaffrey plays. But if he doesn't play, I'd be on it. But let's build this lineup as Christian McCaffrey plays.
I do have a second player that I do like this week.
Well, we can probably fit that in a mini correlation because I was going to say, if I like DJ Moore and I'm going to play him, I have to think that game is going to be good because it's the way it's been played. Even especially if McCaffrey's in, it's got to go off. So I think the first thing we do is stack it with Kyler Murray on the other side. He is our bring back to a Kyler Murray stack.
Yep. That's exactly what I did in my lineup. Please don't dupe me, boys, because
no, it's a solid thought process. It's like if I think DJ Moore is going to get the volume to be that good and pay off his price and have a ceiling, there's probably a lot going on in that game, especially with McCaffrey in. So the other side of the game probably has to be pushing Baker the same way. So yeah, I could see that. I'll take Kyler to have more points than Baker. And then Kyler has plenty of solid options to pair with him. I'll say his options are kind of condensed. I'll say because of his.
Let me just do this. Let me put Rondale Moore in there.
You know I like to double. How about you throw Zach Ertz in there too? Fill in that tight end slot. Fill in that tight end slot. Yeah, everyone loves a tight end. There's a Zach I'm willing to play this week. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I got a running back for you away from this game.
All right. Now give us this is a good way to build a lineup. Now give us another player you like, and we'll see if we can correlate it into a lineup.
I like, depending on the price difference, either A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones is extremely expensive. I love Dillon this week.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know the price difference. I would go Dillon because I figured he would be cheaper.
Yeah, Dillon is cheaper. He's about $6,000. I believe Aaron Jones is closer to like 67 or 69. So like getting that $1,000 is key. All right, and let's see. I
hate Dillon.
You hate Dillon. Like my dad's not a fan of Dillon either. So like,
no, I like Dillon. I don't like the way. Here's what I feel like. I feel like Green Bay never deploys the two running back system well. I don't feel like they did Jamal Williams and Jones well. I don't feel like they paired Jones with anyone well. They're good at like giving one running back touches. They're not good at like deploying both of them out. So like if one of them was hurt, I would 100% play the other one.
See, I've been seeing more of like a pretty solid 50-50 split this year. Like they didn't do it good last year and they didn't do it good the year before with Jones and Jamal. So I'll give you that. But him and Dillon have had pretty good splits. And like Dillon had a good week 1 and Jones has been better the last 2 weeks. So I'll bet on Dillon having a solid week at home. It might not be a great matchup against New England, but like it's Green Bay at home. I'll take them. Now, if I'm correlating that, and thinking, all right, so let's galaxy brain this a little bit. So if I'm thinking A.J. Dillon, who's probably only getting 50% of the snaps at running back is good, then I got to think Green Bay's up in this game because they're going to need to run it a lot if they're up in the game. So if Green Bay's up, New England doesn't really want to throw, and they don't have Mac Jones this week, so I might be willing to say go Green Bay defense.
Okay, I like
that. I like that.
Like they are expensive. I think they are the most expensive, one of the most expensive defenses. Like it's going to be extremely contrarian to pay that much for a defense. It's really hard for me to say that, but like I could see them being up and getting sacks.
Playing.
Yeah, exactly. I could totally see that being, So like I think you're good. And like,
all right.
So like Donnie, if you have another player, we'll try to correlate another player. If not, just looking at this lineup as is, the ownership percentage is going to be absolutely nothing. Your percentage, like your compound, it's going to be nothing. I can jam in the chalkiest running back, chalkiest wide receiver, and chalkiest flex I can find if I really wanted to in this lineup.
To be fair, this is a sponsored contest by Lay's Potato Chips. So crunch, buy yourself some Lay's Potato Chips. We're putting this bitch in there. We're gonna put this lineup in there. So
so do you have another player you like, Donnie?
I was actually gonna bring it back to what we were talking about earlier. I like I like Cooper Kupp here. I mean, I don't see this being a close game between the Niners and Rams. I think Cooper Kupp.
Unfortunately, that's the Monday night game. So like,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I would love Cooper Kupp here too. Like, I don't mind like trying to spend up, but like the spend up options here are like, what's the flex spend up option? It's like Taylor and McCaffrey, and then it's like Diggs, and then Devontae, Barkley.
I was just about to say that. Barkley then.
Okay, so let's put Saquon at running back. Boom.
Yep.
Put him at the running back and not in the flex, too. Remember, you want your PMR in the flex.
True. Yeah, I got to fix that. I was already going to the next play go because I think we know what that is.
All right, so Barkley's right there.
Okay. Now we need another wide receiver and a flex.
Yep. Like I said, we can be kind of chalky. It's not going to hurt us. And $5,200 a person is solid money.
Why don't we?
So what were you thinking? What were you thinking?
Oh, you wouldn't want to do that. Never mind, because you wouldn't want to go with two running backs in the same game. So why don't we eat the other good value and just play Jamal Williams? I was thinking Khalil Herbert, but we don't want to run.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do Herbert and Barkley. It would be one or the other. I mean, because again, we don't need to get that different. Although both of them are kind of chalky, so it's right. It wouldn't be a horrible decision, but it's not the best thing. But yeah, Jamal Williams, I think, is a better choice, and that leaves us 4,400 for a wide receiver. I have been sitting in this range at wide receiver on all my lineups all day. So, like,
yep.
Personally,
I have a receiver.
You have a receiver? All right.
I don't know
wonder if he's in range.
Status. Tyler Lockett.
He's not.
Ooh, see, I would love to have him on the other side of Jamal Williams, but we would need to change something in the lineup. That is where we would be like, see if you can put in Lockett and then switch Barkley to Khalil Herbert.
We cannot, because that would only save us 300, I believe.
Barkley's 8K. Khalil Herbert's like 57. That saves us like 2,300.
Oh, see, I like Barkley because Barkley's going to catch all the passes.
I agree. I think Barkley just has so much value here.
That's the thing. You're weighing the ceiling between Barkley and Lockett compared to the ceiling between Herbert and whoever else we have to actually pick at 4,400.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we play the Lions defense with Williams, right? And then we could get to Lockett.
Who do the Lions play? They play the Seahawks.
You didn't.
That contradicts the Lockett take a little bit if you play the Lions.
Yeah, you can't do the Lions D and then do a mini stack of that game. Really, I wouldn't.
So we could go with Lockett. We'd have to go with the Commanders defense. Well, we can't build a lineup anyway. So why don't we do this? You guys can pick the defense for us. We would go with the Commanders, Jets, Ravens, Titans, Seahawks, Texans. I'll just run through them, and then you give me your initial thought of one of these good defenses. Jacksonville.
I take the Jets immediately because I think they're winning, and I think Pittsburgh is crap.
Yep.
I would actually be on the another end of that. I would say the Seahawks. No Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions this week. Goff just isn't going to have much to throw to compared to what he's used to, where he could just feed all that value to St. Brown.
I could see that, but again, we're trying not to go against our mini stack. So
I would say go with Jacksonville. Everyone's going to want to stack that game 4 points. They're going to want to play Hurts. And if you do go cheap, they're going to want to go Trevor Lawrence. I would play Jacksonville's defense out of here. And by the way, guys, I'm not saying it's likely, but this is the fun little narrative that we might see a Josh Allen MVP season, by the way. Josh Allen for the pass rusher for the Jacksonville Jaguars is off to a tremendous start, and so is Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Not saying it's likely, but if you did have a small shekel you wanted to throw in the sports book, the Josh Allen double MVP might be a fun little novelty bet. You know, we talk about novelty bets for the Super Bowl. I just thought that would be a fun little one to mention. Because Josh Allen's actually the defender now, the pass rusher. Now that they got the other kid from Georgia over there and really starting to wreak havoc on that defensive line with Walker, man, they're really starting to come. And by the way, they do run a kind of a wide 9 kind of system. People do think that they're going to keep Hurts in the pocket more this week because of that, and they have the athleticism to chase him down. So it could be an interesting play. I will put this lineup in, even though I mean this lineup is terrible. But
I was about to say, like, I can't, I wouldn't do that. Like, definitely you only get one entry into this. Definitely put what you want. Like, I can't condone this lineup. It has one of the things I absolutely hate. And like, I know you guys like his ceiling, but I don't pay that much for running backs. Like, I don't see Barkley having a 40-point game. And at 8K, I need him to have a 40-point game. I get that from a wide receiver.
But, Gov, I think he's their best wide receiver this week.
They won't use him that way. Like, he might be their best option. They won't. Okay, you have to and will are not the same thing. Like, they're not going to do it. He's an injury-prone guy that they're not going to give 35, 40 touches to in a game that they're not going to need to. Like, this is, like, I understand that Shepard's out. They don't like Tony. They're going to be using Richie James, Galladay, and David Sills as their wide receivers. So, like, he's going to be the most talented person on the field. That doesn't mean he's going to produce all this. Like, I'm just not big on, like, and at that price range, I would rather pay 87 for McCaffrey. I'd rather pay 86 for Henry. I'd rather pay 88 for Taylor for that kind of price. Like, I loved Barkley back when he was 61 and 73. Now that he's 8K, I think that's the thing you change in this lineup. That's what'll make the lineup better. You go down to a better mid-price or cheap running back, and now you can go back up to the Packers and still have money to get off of a receiver.
I disagree with you completely, 100%. Like, I don't know how more to say it, but here's what I like though is you make good sense, and what I also like is that if you got off of Barkley, I'm assuming you're saying they're going to throw the ball to somebody. They're not going to Justin Fields this game where they only drop back Daniel Jones like 10 times. So who do you like from the Giants if you were going to target this game as a puke stack or just like as a one-off? Is it because, like, just to give people some context, we talked about Tua, but also Shepard had a terrible leg injury. Shout out to him and his teammates. It was a really coming of moment. You know, a lot of the other team came over, a lot of the other coaches. It was pretty powerful actually to see how that young man handled it because he just came off of another injury. But Tony's out, Shepard's out, Robinson, the rookie's out, Cam Johnson's been on the IR since the preseason. Slayton and Dayball just do not like each other at all. They even signed a Central Michigan kid that the Lions cut, who the Lions are thin at wide receiver this week, and Pimpleton. So I don't know who they're throwing to. It's got to be Galladay, but Galladay wants out. Like, I don't.
Because they don't throw it to Galladay. They don't use him. Okay, like, I'm not playing anyone in this game. Like, let me just be straight up. This is Chicago versus the Giants. I'm not playing a piece of this game unless the ownership for Khalil Herbert is high enough I need to play him in cash. That's it. Absolutely. I don't want to play Richie James, who is the best wide receiver to play in this game.
Yeah.
Like on the Giants. I don't want to play Barkley. I don't like this game at all. It's got a horribly low total. It's going to be in the rain in New York, where it's just going to be of all the rain games between Philly and Baltimore, Buffalo, and this one, this is going to have the worst field. Like, this is going to be like the Chicago San Fran game week 1. I don't want a piece of this game. I do not even want, like, you're trying to ask, who do I want? I'm trying to say, get all the Giants out of this lineup. That's what I'm trying to say. Even if we don't go to Khalil Herbert, like, get the Giants out of this lineup to make it better.
Yeah,
that's the first thing I do, is get away from this game immediately.
Yeah, I guess that was the wrong way to ask. I was trying to say...
you were. I know what you were trying to say, but, like, I don't have anything to say on that. Like I don't like this game. Like, there is no one I want to play. I agree with you. They have no one to throw to, so I don't want to play anyone. Because if they have no one to throw to, then I expect the Chicago defense to eye in on Saquon, and Saquon does maybe 80% of what he can do because he's the focal point of the defense. And then I don't expect any receiver to actually break off and do anything. I could totally see the Giants winning this game 7-3.
Yeah.
Can I just add here?
Go ahead, Donnie. Go ahead.
Yeah.
If you were looking for a cheaper receiver, and with this specific lineup, we already have Kyler Murray. Why not just stack that with one of the Cardinals receivers?
We did. Rondale Moore.
Yeah. Well, do we know his? I know it says questionable there. Do we know if he's actually?
Well, it's the same situation as it's the same situation as the Giants. AJ Green's probably out. They still don't have access to DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, so AJ Green's out. They still don't have access to DeAndre Hopkins. Marquise Brown might be questionable too. So, like, it kind of has to be just Dortch and Moore and maybe no one else. That's why I said go with Ertz. He's probably one of the solid, consistent guys in the offense to double stack him with, because we have both the tight end and Rondale Moore to go with Kyler.
Similar things are happening in Detroit as well with TJ Hawkinson, because we found out the Sun God is out this week. And if you guys don't know that, St. Brown is out this week for sure. They are already thin. DJ Shark's going to try to play, but he's going to be limited, they think. DeAndre Swift is out. And so, and then Hawkinson was limited earlier this week, but he wasn't on the injury report at all. I think Hawkinson is a good play as well. But why don't we do this? Because we're trying different things. I already called this the legacy week. It's the week where we think we know things based on past things. Like, for example, we think the Lions are terrible, but this is like a prove-it week for the Lions. The Lions actually have the second easiest schedule of anyone left in the league. I think that the number one easiest schedule is the Eagles. But I also think on the flip side, people think that the Eagles might go 0-16. So let's play a little either or here and say, if you think the Giants are going to be that bad, and we think the 49ers were the misprice, who do you think of all the teams and all the totals, what game is the lowest scoring game? And is there any fantasy viable person from that game?
I mean, I would say the lowest scoring game is going to be probably that Giants-Bears game. And if Barkley doesn't break one, no, there will not be a fantasy relevant play for like a tournament or anything. Now, like I said, the ownership percentage on a guy like Khalil Herbert and his touches, he will be a cash play 100%. Like in double ups, I'm probably playing Khalil Herbert. I might even have to be playing Richie James just because of their volume in double ups. But that will be determined with ownership on Sunday. Because if I don't have to play Richie James, I won't. I'll play a different 4K wide receiver. And then Khalil Herbert, I'm perfect. Like I said, I'm perfectly fine with Khalil Herbert. Like, I know Chicago is like what you said for Daniel Jones, where you don't like what you don't think will happen with Daniel Jones. And I agree. I don't think they're just going to not let Daniel Jones throw the ball like 20 plus times. I do think they will not let Justin Fields throw the ball 20 plus times, and that Khalil Herbert in a losing effort could still get 25 touches.
I disagree with that. And I agree with the take on the game, but I think the lowest scoring game this week is going to be Vikings Saints. They traveled to London. Jameis is banged up. Kamara's banged up.
Hold on, though, Johnny. I got news on that. Jameis is not playing. It is Andy Dalton.
Oh, now
has that been confirmed?
According to Davis Manning, it had been confirmed. He was talking to Rich Rebar on his I think it's not Daily Roto, it's oh man, I can't think of what's that podcast that Davis does. Not his personal one, but the name will come to me. It's like Sports Grid or something of that nature. But he has Rich Rebar on almost every Friday, and he was saying that they rule out Jameis. I'd have to actually look at the show notes, like, because unfortunately they're not on the main slate. But they are traveling to London, so we should know if Jameis got on the plane. I do believe Davis, because he's not usually wrong with these type of things.
I did look it up while you were talking. It does say Winston is doubtful to play, and they're preparing to start Dalton. That's what the latest reports are.
Yeah. I had heard that he basically might travel with the team to essentially be a presence on the field. Now, does that mean he's going to like try to play? Does that mean he's going to try to warm up? Or does that mean like he's going to shake, Prince Williams' hand? Like I don't know what that means, being a presence. Like maybe the NFL is just like, hey, you're a name. We want you there. I don't know, but it doesn't look good.
Oh wow, Michael Thomas is also out.
Yeah. I don't like this game at all, fantasy.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm
glad it's off the slate. That's kind of like, yeah,
right.
I could see how you could definitely see that, but it's like they play in the soccer stadium. It's kind of a track event usually over there. So
if you're playing Showdown, I think it would be a total mistake not to play Chris Olave. To me, that's almost the Jamal Williams. You just eat the chalk and you live with the results. Me and Gov talk about a lot, and even when we disagree on things like Barkley, it's like as long as you have a process, you stick with that process. You eat chalk sometimes if it's part of your process. And for me, it's full digestion. I would go with Chris Olave. Johnny, why don't you break the tie, since it was such contentious between me and Gov here, to give the people another thing to track this weekend? I'm all over Barkley. I'm playing him in, I think, 90% of my lineups. It doesn't sound like Gov's playing him at all. In fact, I'm lying, Gov. You just said you weren't going to play a goddamn Giant.
I am not going to play a Giant at all. You are 100% correct. I have zero exposure to Saquon Barkley.
So, goddamn it, we're asking Donnie to be the special referee in our elimination chamber. One of us is right. One of us is wrong. Donnie, you got to break the tie.
I like Barkley. I think he's at least going to get 20 touches this game. Now, maybe Gov is right. The pricing's not there to warrant that, but who's to say he doesn't break one of those off for a long touchdown against a bad Chicago team?
I'm willing to take the loss. If he breaks a 36-yard touchdown and has a 25, 30-point game, okay. All right. That's fine. He's totally possible to do that. It's Chicago, it's not a great team. They could totally do that against it. Like I'll give you that. Like, but I'm just not playing any Giants. I just am not. That's just going to be me.
Hey man, we're making a theme out of this. We're really cooking with tonight's show. We talked about legacy things. We talked about how everyone thinks the Steelers defense is still good. We think the Jets are on the come up and just going to demolish the team. We talked about how everyone thinks the 49ers are still the Super Bowl team. with Jimmy, and age doesn't regress. And this is the one chalk thing where I'm still going to eat it. I think Barkley is a top 5 running back in the league still. Now, you might say, Logan, you're crazy, all these injuries. You're probably right. But this is the one legacy thing that I'm not ready to give up on yet. We all probably have legacy things this week that we got to ask ourselves about, you know? Is it time for the new Lion Guards to take order? Are we going to see some new faces? Or are we just going to keep playing these old narratives,
I will say
some things do change. What were you going to say, Don?
After week 2, I finally gave up on mine, and that was Carson Wentz. I went on that for a long time. I finally have given up on that. He's just is what he is.
Well, let's go with another legacy idea, Gov, and it would be this. And I know you know this as well. So I'm going to give you an either or here, right? People used to say, if Evan Ingram ever gets on a good team, he would be a good player. And then people would also say, if David Njoku could ever catch the damn ball, he would be a good player, right? And now he's with Jacoby Brissett, who loves, I think Jacoby Brissett targets tight ends at a 75% clip. And that's not even hyperbole. So looking at 2 similar options, very similar price, if I told you to make the storyline for both players, in what case would you play Njoku or Evan Ingram? What do you believe? Because I feel like they're on the precipice. They both have this legacy narrative, both negative and positive. Who do you believe in, and who are you fading?
I believe in Njoku more than Ingram. I'll say that because I don't know if I fade. Like, Ingram's going to be in a much better offense. I think he does a lot better. Again, I don't have a lot of trust in the Giants where he came from, but right. I know Njoku's been in this offense. They're clearly starting to get him as one of the top targets. So, it's iffy because he's a tight end, but
now
it's weird because this is a good question for it because I'm gonna go Njoku only because I think he's farther ahead. So he's gonna hit his ceiling and be as good. And I think him and Ingram are very close to each other. That being said, Ingram's in a much higher up projecting offense in Jacksonville. Yeah. He's one of my Trevor Lawrence is a very solid quarterback who has a good future as long as he keeps getting his weapons. They keep giving him weapons, signing Kirk. You have Marvin Jones and Zay Jones. He has Evan Ingram at tight end. He's got good running backs. Again, this is a situation where a young quarterback can thrive because he's got all the right weapons. And so as much as I would go Njoku, I do not hate Evan Ingram. And this actually is a good transition because this is my number 2 game. I am taking the points. I think Jacksonville versus Philly.
You did it to me again. Oh.
Sorry, man. But this is
What's
the other game.
Spread out?
I have it at 6.5. I think it opened at 7.
It did open at 7. It is at 6.5. I bet everywhere, dude. If I think Jacksonville's gonna win, and if they don't, Logan will be a sad boy. But if they do, man, we might all be having a crowd next week, man. It'll be great.
See, I don't think they win, but I don't think they lose by a touchdown. I think they keep it close. I think Philly
I got the money
maybe
line
4. If you want to do the same thing, you're doing the money line, and I'm taking the points for the Jags. But
I'm just saying, I don't know if we want to do this. Logan, you do technically have 2 games this week. Do you want to add a third? Are we getting crazy?
No. Hey, man, I already messed this up. I tried to be cute and sexy with Davis Mills, and I just had to admit, hey, he's a white guy. There's only so much coolness you can do. Even Evan Ingram cut off his throw because he's like, you know what? I'm getting old. Let me not try to be the cool guy anymore. Let me try to actually be the productive guy. So we're not gonna get cool anymore on this show, Donnie, because when I try to do that, I sounded like a bubbling idiot. I want to be the Evan Ingram guy now. I want to be that consistent target guy. We're gonna stick with our target. We're gonna stick with 2 games. I'll pick another game. Because what I don't want to have happen is for you to have hooked on phonics now and just totally leap forward way ahead of me and I can't catch you because if we're wrong about these 2 games, you would have a huge advantage.
All right. I did see something before we bring up my second game. I did see something in our lineup, and I would be willing to take Barkley out for it. The pricing of Kyle Pitts is still criminal.
It is.
Oh, Jesus.
I would be willing
I think I
to
just
take Barkley.
died. Oh, God.
I would be willing to
The
take
left
Barkley out.
ventricle's going out. Oh, I'm coming, Elizabeth. Oh, good Lord.
Okay.
It's a good play too, and I hate it. Oh,
yeah.
But if it means getting Barkley out of the lineup, I'm fine going to Kyle Pitts at tight end.
In fact, I'll have to share it to you guys now. I just want to flash my line for 5. If you guys really that interested, I just got to prove it that it wasn't a setup that I didn't have Pitt in my lineups. So as it catches up here, it should show you. I hope, maybe not. No, I went to contest and not lineups because again I'm a stooge. But here we go. Now, the reason I brought that argument up though with Evan Ingram and Njoku, I never did finish the point. You do know Njoku is projected to be the chalkiest tight end on the slate, right?
Yes, I do.
And I'm not saying Njoku is bad, but Evan Ingram had the same amount of volume going into that week, the week that Njoku blew up. They basically had the same amount of targets. Njoku had the big blow-up game on national TV. Everyone saw it. That's part of the reason he's going to be so chalky. Evan Ingram had the potential, dropped a touchdown, or actually didn't drop it, caught the touchdown. It got called back because of a penalty that wasn't his fault. Had he scored that touchdown, their stat line would have looked similar. I think he's a great pivot and a GPP. But Njoku is not bad in cash. But these are my lineups really quickly. I just want to prove to you guys, I was playing a lot of the same players that we had in lineups. So there's that. So just so you know, it wasn't a setup. We didn't set Donnie up to never look at DraftKings and then like, hey, just name all the guys Logan likes this week. So I just wanted to prove that really quickly.
I just saw the pricing there at the corner of the screen before you were flipping through stuff, and Kyle Pitts at 5,000 is just so criminal. When we're paying 4,700 for Zach Ertz.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Like I could see like get off of Barkley, go up to that, and then find even if you're not paying down in that mid-range or running back, you can probably find a better one in the 7K range that's got just as good of a ceiling as Barkley, but is cheaper.
Hey man, I made plenty of mistakes already. We've had a lot of fun. I tried to roll with the punches so I don't get knocked out because I tried a bad dad joke, as I mentioned. I mentioned legacy. I've shown my age. I mentioned how Evan Ingram had a throw and thought that was cool. And throws were probably never cool unless you're Bob Ross, in which they were cool, I guess. Happy accidents. Let me get out of the way for the last little while. Why don't I let you guys steer the show? I'm going to take a nap in the back because I'm an old man. I got that dad bod going on. Why don't I let you guys kind of like choose the topics? I'll be the guy who just gets to sit back and react to you guys. Either one of you can take it if you got any closing statements, anything you want to bring up, anything we're missing this week. Go ahead.
All right. Well, to start off, I do want to bring my second game into this. I am finding Arizona's spread a little bit. I found Arizona at plus points. I found the minus points. I like Arizona money line here. I think Arizona's just going to win this game. I really don't like Carolina. They're one of my least favorite teams to win every week, I feel like.
I believe, that game started -1. It's at +1. Like, but it's flip-flop both sides, really.
Yeah, I've seen plus 104 on my professional. Shout out to Rob Rizzola, who me and Gov profiled this week on Monday's show. He was the one who had the Detroit Lions Vikings take. Go when we listened to that video. So if anyone wants to catch that again, like and subscribe to the show. We do come at you on Mondays for a review. We did some cool interactive videos this week with Rob Rizzola and then Pete Overs that also contributed. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check that out as well. But yeah, I'm seeing it at plus 104.
Yep.
Cardinals.
No, I don't hate that. That's a solid bet.
Especially if McCaffrey isn't playing.
Yeah. Get that in before you find that news. And then, like, I still think it's good even if McCaffrey plays, just because even being a Panthers fan, I can't trust their offense right now. I got to see it get right. And as a fantasy player, like Logan said earlier, I'm usually one to try to get in on the ground floor before, but like I got to see them get right. That's just me on this one. Now, for me, I am worried that the chalky game of the slate, the Buffalo Ravens game, is either going to completely bust because of the weather or completely go off, and I'm not going to have enough pieces of it. That game, its spread is just close enough under a touchdown. It's got that high total right around, 51, which is actually bet down, but that's because of all the rain that's heading north after the hurricane. It's all heading up the East Coast and should hit most of the Northeast by Sunday. So, like, I don't know, like, if it ends up hitting, like, Baltimore's more inland, so, like, it's more like if Philadelphia is able to play well, Baltimore will be fine. So I don't know if that game, like, it's been bet down. I'm weary of it getting lower ownership because it probably is still the best game on the slate, and I don't know how to feel.
I would say it's fine to avoid this game, honestly, because if the players that would play well is a Lamar Jackson, probably, who's very high priced. Josh Allen's obviously going to be high priced. You think he's going to play
literally the two most expensive quarterbacks.
Right. You could say one of the running backs or maybe one of the Ravens receivers, but if you're not going to stack that with anything, I think it's fine to miss out on.
See, that scares me. I don't know if I can miss out on it. I feel like I'm going to need a piece from that game. I just trying to figure out, again, I kind of like grabbing the running backs. Like Singletary had a good game last week. They started giving him targets. Like maybe they use the ground this week to try to slow it down after running 90 plays last week.
I think I heard that Allen had 70 plays that involved him.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
They ran 90 offensive plays last week. So, of course, 70 of them were either throws or scrambles by him. They weren't just direct handoffs. But that just shows how much they're going to throw. So, like, most likely, if Buffalo does anything, it's going to be through Josh Allen. It's going to be through his receivers. And we already know Lamar to Mark Andrews is like the one-off. And then is he going to hit Bateman? Is he going to hit Duvernay? Or is he just going to run it himself and not bring a second person along?
Both defenses have been banged up as well.
Yeah, that's why it's the chalky game. Like, I would not avoid this game, but I don't know how heavy I'm actually going to be on it. I really want to see the weather pushing it down where it might start getting less ownership makes me know that I need to have a piece of the game. Until, like, because I don't see it having the kind of field that New York's going to have. If New York is in the rain, like I said, their field is horrible. I think that game could just be a slop fest against Chicago. And whereas Philly is not as bad and Baltimore's more inland. And so, like, I don't know. I got to see how the weather is, but I am not sure.
Okay.
Oh, I'm mixing up Baltimore with Pittsburgh. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Right there in Maryland on the. It's literally on a bay. I'm a dumbass. But yeah.
Speaking of mixing, let's get some more international flavor here. And speaking international, we're not going to go to London quite yet. We're not going to go to London quite yet, but we're going to get some international flavor, a melting pot, if you will, for my last spread pick here. Donnie, you ready for this?
Yes.
Because one of the
Well,
best.
this would be your third of the week.
One of the best. Yeah. No. I didn't take the Jags money line.
No, you took Rams and Jets.
Oh, I did. Okay, never mind. But I will say, because I set it up with a nice little joke, I think the Vikings are the imposters of the NFL. I don't think they're good. I think they got very lucky to beat the Lions. I think they're very lucky that Aaron Rodgers is old, and he might play as old as Brian Hoyer this week. No one's talking about it. I think the Packers are overcooked, similar to how you can overcook your pasta. We're going international. We're going to London. Give me the meat and potatoes of this game. I'm taking the Saints. Give me Andy Dalton and the Red Rifle. He might be as unsexy as potatoes and sausage, but he's going to get it done. He's going to grill them up. I don't like Kirk Cousins. He's cooked. Aaron Rodgers is cooked. And Jared Goff might never been good. So I just think like the Vikings, they could be a really bad team this year. I actually think the Saints are pretty good. The NFC South is actually pretty good when you consider the Falcons. I like the Saints team. They might even be better with Andy Dalton over Jameis because that defense is legit. Yeah, I like the Saints this week.
All right. Let me ask you one question then. Are you out on the Vikings' new head coach?
And relative to what? Like playoffs? Like
just in general, do you think he's gonna be like a valuable head coach, or is he just not the guy?
Here's what I will say. I think he's underutilizing the similar to the Packers. I just mentioned how I didn't think they used Aaron Jones and Dylan well. I think he could have used Madison and Cook more in a more innovative way. And I feel like he kind of realized it and overplayed his hands. And I do think that had something to do with Cook getting injured. I feel like maybe long term he'll be all right, but I feel like he's kind of playing with all these new toys and just got overexcited. Because like week one, we saw him overuse Jefferson. And then Okuda, who's been honestly the best corner in the league, plays Jefferson really well. And I think everyone's overreacting to how Jefferson's going to be fine. Like Okuda is just that good, I feel like. But I feel like the coach of the Vikings, why is his name escaping me at the moment? It's not Hackett. It's not Mike McVay. That's the guy over with the Dolphins. Why is the name escaping me here?
Is it? I'm feeling like I can't think of it. I don't know. That's why I said the. Okay, yeah.
It's another one
Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah,
it's Kevin O'Connell.
Right, it's one of the McVay boys. Yeah, that's right. So, I think Kevin O'Connell long term will be good. I just don't think he got overexcited for Christmas morning. He's got to cool it down and enjoy New Year's Eve a bit more. And so long term, like it. Short term, don't like it. He's got to find a quarterback he likes. I don't think Kurt gets ever quarterback.
So you did pick the Jets along with Gov. Do you want to change that to the Saints or just keep your money line Jets?
No, I'm gonna keep the Jets.
All right.
Just so we can really get ahead of you, because I just think that's so smart, Donnie, and I think we're gonna catch you this week. I think you made a bad pick with the Texans.
I don't know if he made a bad pick with the Texans. I think we'll be keeping pace for a minute, but no one's perfect.
We could be, but Lovie Smith might be older than me. I mean, we both got beard games, but I don't got any gray in my beard at least yet. Man. I was about to say this in a while, but I won't do it.
I was about to say, I'm waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
I mean, we already went 19 minutes over. We see enough. I was gonna say I would replace Lovie Smith with Urban Meyer in the booth right now, and just I don't believe in Lovie Smith. I think that the game is passed and by. He gives me that Jim Caldwell vibe. Everyone likes him, but like I don't know if he's gonna get a lot of wins. And I think the talent on the Texans is underrated. I just think they haven't got the right coach. I would have hired Josh McCown. He wanted the job.
Well, what I don't understand is it feels like 2 years straight now the Texans have hired a guy that they don't expect to be there long term.
Yeah.
It's like, why do that?
Well, the last couple of years with the Deshaun Watson thing, I don't think they've known what they wanted to do. They've sort of like, they haven't drafted well, but they've been right there. They've got solid pieces, but I think they've been waiting on that Deshaun Watson stuff to move on. Now they have this huge pitch package. That's why I said I think Houston's just going to get by this year. They're going to completely revolt the staff, new coach, everything starting next year. And they might even, like, depending on how Davis Mills plays, they might even go grab a quarterback in this draft.
Now, we were going to hustle out of here because I did keep you guys 20 minutes over. But our man Hustle came in here and go. So I feel like we know Hustle. He's a smart guy. He thinks a bit different. He has a good vibe about him. I love to listen to this guy every week. Hustle, you got to give us your like top 3 storylines, your top 3 takes, any nugget of information you can give my man Donahue. He's never played DraftKings before. Like, give him the elevator pitch for week 4. What's like the thing that people got to do in week 4? DraftKings related, NFL related. Like, what's the one thing we got to watch out for? For me, just to recap, one of my boldest takes, I don't know if you, because I know you worked tonight, so you probably either listened in late night or just got home. Zach Wilson is going to show out this week. That's my bold take. I think he outscores Russell Wilson this week. I think he just puts on a show. He's got the wide receivers. Do you guys got any bold takes while we wait for Hustle to brace us with any golden nuggets?
We'll see if Hustle gives us any nuggets, but like my bold take is I don't like any of the high-priced running backs this week. Like I don't like Barkley. I don't like any of them. Like I really don't like playing any of those high-priced running backs this week. I don't think a single one is going to have a good week.
I think my boldest take is the Chargers season is pretty much, we've seen the best of what we were going to see, and it's downhill from here.
Ooh.
They will finish last in the division.
Ooh. Yeah, there's a take, yeah. Like a season-long take for me.
Oh, my, you think last?
Yes, I think last. I think the Raiders. I don't love the Broncos, but I think they will get it looking better.
Hold on though, Donnie. I had them. I mean, I didn't ask Gov yet. We did a deep dive on Donnie's personal already, so I don't think he'll mind me telling you guys this. Donnie's a huge Patriots guy, so he's obviously a Josh McDaniels supporter in some level. Does your influence for Josh McDaniels influence this discussion, Donnie? Like, is it just this blind belief that the Raiders will be fine because Josh McDaniels is good? Or is it just like Justin Herbert that bad, that hurt? Like, what do you think it is? Like, why do you
I have a bias towards Derek Carr and Devontae Adams working well. And Josh McDaniels, obviously, I like. Justin Fields being hurt plays a big part of it, honestly.
Fair enough. So,
also Bosa hurt.
Hustle did that. Yeah, Hustle did come up with some news. Go. Why don't you give some people the insight on this earlier? Because I think he was in reference to you.
Well, yeah, me and we were talking about this earlier. And I'm kind of with Hustle. There's only 3 games in the afternoon this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not excited to play any of them. Like, we made the Kyler stack, but I'm not excited to play Kyler. I don't want to play McCaffrey or DJ Moore on the other side. So, like, I kind of don't like that Arizona game. And then the only other good game in the afternoon would be the Bronco-Raider game. And I'm not horribly excited to play that one either. Like, yeah, Adams will be fine. I'm sure there will be, like, if Russ can do anything, his receivers can be okay. Javonte and Jacobs will get used, but I think you could fade those late games and just play the early games. Play the Philly-Jacksonville game. Play part of the Charger-Houston game if you think it's going to blow up. Cleveland-Atlanta is going to be a good game. Buffalo-Baltimore is the chalk game. I think you can stick to the morning games and be okay. I don't think there's enough good plays with the limited amount of afternoon games. And normally PMR is like a major factor, but I think you could limit it maybe like one guy you like from the afternoon instead of like stacking an afternoon game or having a mini stack from one of those games. I could totally see taking a one-off Darren Waller and building the rest of your lineup around the morning.
Excuse me, sir. Top of the morning to you. Go to the Vikings and the Saints this week. I just want to point that out. But I do want to know what you mean with the slate. Now, I would agree with you, but the news surrounding the Panthers and the Cardinals is just too juicy. You got Rondell Moore at 3,800 coming off of injury, potentially, and a prime role without AJ Green. Now you got their best receiver and Brown, who coming off 16, 17 targets, banged up. You got AJ Green already out. Like, you got Christian McCaffrey limited. You got Matt Rule playing for his life, like as an NFL coach. I think you got to get some of that wild goose game, man. I don't know what's gonna happen in the game, but I feel like it's gonna be wild. Like, I got a Ravens-Dolphins feel to that game. I think Kyler Murray might just decide, you know what? Lamar Jackson's getting paid by using his damn legs. I already got paid, but I'm the best running quarterback, and I want to be playing this as truth. So I could see Kyler turning back the clock, and like I could just see some wild stuff in that game. I think Christian McCaffrey might go lower owned if he does play because of the injury concerns all week. Like that's the one game I would definitely target.
It's definitely going to be low owned. I think, like, I'll give you that. You're going to be able to get leverage. Like when we were building the lineup, it's like I said, if you go with the Kyler stack with DJ Moore, you've basically got all the leverage you need. You can play as much chalk as you want. But like, I mean, the other thing I'll say is like, it's a Kyler stack with DJ Moore. It had Saquon Barkley in it. I didn't like anything about that lineup. I would never build that lineup. Throw it in there and ship the millie because I don't know if I'd ever build anything like that. Like it makes me have to think like, okay, so there are going to be lineups like this. And it's like, I don't know. Like, it just seems to me that, again, we built that lineup off of basically that's Donnie's 3 favorite plays that we correlated into a lineup, which we were able to make a working lineup.
Which I'll be honest, I'm not playing. I can't do it. It would make me physically ill, and I can't do that to myself. I would rather lose with Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold in my lineup than play AJ Dillon. Like I like AJ Dillon too, man, but they don't use him right. But here's the thing: hustle, man. He already hustled. He already got the bingo. So we're already got to close up shop. The old ladies are ready to go home. They're ready to lay the roost, man. We got to get some sleep. We got to do some more prep for Sunday. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I try to bring a different energy each week to see what you guys like. We brought in some of our favorite people. And shout out to Hustle who joined us. Bring in some fun. Bring in some hype. I always appreciate Donnie too because you don't have any, preconceived DraftKings knowledge. So I think we'll keep this lineup builder idea because I do think it's kind of a fun concept just for you to name some of your favorite plays and then for me and Gov to untangle them because we did find some tangling mess tonight. Gov, people can go back and listen. Me and Gov are completely opposite on the Saquon Barkley. We might have to have a side bet on that one, buddy.
We might have to. We'll have to talk about that this weekend.
All right. Well, either way, I hope you win, man. I always like try to pick Gov's mind right before the slate. I always try to, because you called it, and I don't think you played it, Gov. I meant to mention this on the recap. So this is the last thing. You called it. We were in a private chat the other night. You said, "Why don't you just play Derrick Henry and the Titans defense?" And I don't think you actually played it. I was like, "Oh man, this man called it." Too.
I had some Derrick Henry, but not in my Mahomes lineups mostly.
But see, I want to
bring backs. I basically had Derrick Henry as my bring back to my Mahomes stuff. So, yes, it was a good play, and no, I didn't correlate it where I wanted to.
But you did call it, though. So I'm going to give you full credit because this man, he was getting clowned, but you said play Derrick Henry in the defense. And as soon as you said you were having a bet, I'm like, he didn't play it. But so you might have scored good in that one. And we should have pulled out the old rifle, but I still want to give you some credit for it. All right, guys, take care. Be safe. And again, just enjoy the weekend. Try to find a loved one. Try to find somebody you enjoy to watch football with or any other sports. And just have a safe and fun weekend. Take care and don't bet the farm. Only lose what you can lose and try to win.
Yep. Have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy the games. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Everyone wins some money this week. That's all I hope for. And everyone else here living in Florida, I hope you're safe. I hope you soon get power and hang in there.
Hang in there. That's right.
Yep.
Donnie, you got anything else you want to say?
Actually, on a more serious, hard-hitting note, I did see a report that
I can tell by that eye you had some. Go ahead.
Former Cowboys tight end Gavin Escobar, I think that's how you pronounce his name, did pass away. So rest in peace to him. Thoughts, prayers go out to his family.
Yeah, tremendous upset of that guy. It's one of those things where if they would have played in a different era and things were different, you never know what's possible. And whenever you see a life cut short or a career cut short or just like the potential of something that never comes, it's always sad. So even in life or even in his career, at least he got the chance to live out his dreams, but it's still too short, So life is too short. That's why you shouldn't bet more than you can lose, but you should have fun with it, man. Make a prop bet and to have fun, Don't just focus on the over-under because you like what we said tonight. Have a little fun. Enjoy yourself because, like this young man found out, life is too short. So, again, stay safe, have fun, and enjoy the time we have. But that's all the time we have tonight. Good night, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.